So, Michael, we were listening to the speech of J.D. Vance, and it was very different from anything that I personally was used to, because I visited so many times the Munich Security Conference. Right now, I can see a person who came with instructions for the Europeans. What do you make of it? I mean, what's the idea of the new administration here at the conference?
Well, first, you're absolutely right. I also have been to this conference for many years. I've never heard a speech like that from a U.S. official. Second, I want to say as an American that I didn't like this speech at all for a couple of reasons. One, when he told Europe that your biggest threat is not Russia and not China, but internal democracy and problems in democracy, that's just not true. I think that's analytically not true. It's a hypothesis with no data. And the trivial things, I care about censorship, and I care about freedom of speech, and what happened in Romania is an important test for democracy. All those things are true, but these were trivial questions compared to the threat from Russia. And most certainly the people that I talked to here, that's what they said. Second, we have quite a bit of problems with democracy in my country. His boss, President Trump, tried to ignore the election results from 4 years ago. And then he tried to disrupt that election. And then he incited an insurrection against our parliament. And then when he was reelected, he let all those criminals out. He pardoned them. So there's a real hypocrisy for an American to come and lecture Europeans about their problems with democracy when we are struggling at home with our democracy. And then third, he didn't talk about the most important thing, which is what is their position on negotiations with respect to peace negotiations to end Putin's invasion of Ukraine, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. And they've sent out very mixed messages about what their position is just in the last 3 days. Yeah. This would have been the moment to clarify it, and he didn't do that.
And considering the war in Ukraine, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is true that there are coming very different messages from Washington. But what we have heard from President Trump personally is invitation for Vladimir Putin to Washington. And he insists that it would be great to have Russia back to the G7, which would be G8 if Russia is back. And a lot of stuff showing us that he's very much ready to get Russia back from this pariah position to the position of a civilized country, you know, the same as others, like Great Britain or France or the United States of America. So how do you see that? I mean, is it really going there, or is he bluffing? Because there's so many analytics saying that, no, it's just a game. But I don't really understand. Is there a game there?
No, it's not a game. This is what Trump believes. Trump is not a big strategic thinker. We always make that mistake. Thinks he's got some very elaborate scheme and he's doing this and that. He's not. He's playing checkers, not chess.
But why
this is what he thinks.
What is the reason for that?
He likes Putin. He likes people like that. He admires him. Ideologically, they share a lot of ideas. They're kind of orthodox nationalists against multilateralism, against liberalism. That's Putinism and that's Trumpism. That they share that worldview. They really do. Like with Viktor Orban and the other nationalist populists, but it's a movement and they're both part of it. The second piece, however, in terms of the strategy, he thinks that he can leverage his personal relationship with Putin to get a deal. And maybe he's right. I want him to try. We all want this horrible war to end. But I'm very skeptical. I'm skeptical because I worry that Trump thinks a deal means giving Putin everything he wants. And the fact that they already announced that the Ukrainians need to give up territory, that's a gift to Putin. That they've already announced Ukraine cannot be a member of NATO, that's a gift to Putin. They've already announced American soldiers will not be part of a peacekeeping operation. That's a gift to Putin. And that is not a deal that the Ukrainians or I think the Europeans will accept. So I fear that may be a strategy. I just don't think it will be a successful strategy.
And you have this connections and cooperation with Ukrainian officials, including the questions about sanctions, et cetera, with Yermak Commission, I mean, of course. What is their attitude right now? What is the mood among Ukrainians? Because I can imagine, I mean, this is a lot, right?
The mood is panic. The mood is panic. I mean, they have been anticipating that President Trump was going to be reelected. Way before I was, by the way. Months ago, they've been planning for this moment. What they were surprised by is how fast he has moved to basically capitulate to what Putin wants. I think they were ready. My impression from talking to many Ukrainians, that they would have been ready to start to compromise on some of the things that Mr. Trump has been talking about. But they want to compromise in return for things that are good for Ukraine. That's the art of the deal, to quote Mr. Trump's book, right? I give you this, you give me something back. And what I think they're very worried about is they're giving everything away before the negotiations have started.
I even thought about this, Kurskaya Oblast, which should be a part of the deal. And then I thought, okay, so Zelensky is giving back Kurskaya Oblast, which is obviously, he's ready for that. Yes. But what is he getting for that? Is there any understanding of this? I mean, this concrete situation, Ukrainian army is on the ground in Russian Federation. Is he just giving it back to Russia, or he's getting something for that?
Well, they definitely want to get something back for that, and that's why he's fought so hard to keep holding that territory. A decision that not all Ukrainians support, by the way. They think that was not a good use of resources, and a lot of people have died. That's his view. And I think his bigger view is they're ready for trades, but they have to make Ukraine better off in some way. That's the essence of a deal, right? That's the essence of every market transaction, right? I give you a candy bar, you give me money. Win-win. You get what you want, I get what I want. It doesn't mean you get everything, but Ukraine has to get something. And for them, the most important thing is a serious security guarantee. And in my view, the best one, of course, would be NATO membership. There's just no question.
But they won't get it, Michael. Isn't it clear they're all saying it's not going to happen? Even Mark Rutte, the new General Secretary of the Alliance, is saying we have never named any date for NATO entrance for Ukraine. So it means that they are just pulling back.
Correct.
The wording is absolutely different right now from all sides.
I agree. That's a tragedy. And in my view, that's a tragedy, because that would be the way for a permanent peace.
Do you think
when people say that Putin won't accept it, they're wrong about that. They're 100% wrong about that. There would be a peace negotiation with Putin. Let's say, God forbid, it leads to a lot of the territories that are occupied would go to Putin. The war ends. The next day, Ukraine is made a member of NATO, or at least put on the path. Do you really think that Putin, on the greatest day of his life, when he can claim victory, that I have taken over all these territories, that he would say, oh no, we're going to go back to war because Ukraine joined NATO? No way. He would never do that. But that's not, right now that's not on the table. I agree.
Yeah, it's not on the table. Is there any possibility, even 1%, that the European peacekeeping mission goes to Ukraine?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
Be very risky, and in some ways, that's a riskier proposition than bringing Ukraine into NATO. But there has to be something. There cannot just go back to where they were before the invasion.
And with this, we go to the very important question, as I see it. We are here in Germany right now. This is Europe, and we can see how the representatives of the United States are, again, instructing them and telling them how they should behave, etc. Do you see that there would be any kind of attempts coming from European partners of Ukraine to change the situation, to support Ukraine as much as it is necessary to be involved, maybe to push, I don't know, somehow the United States?
Well, I hope so. In particular, I think it is a necessary condition for an enduring peace that Europe is part of those negotiations. It just can't be Trump and Putin. The Europeans have to be there. That's the first thing. Second thing, there is a sense of urgency at this meeting that they have to do more. That's a good sign. And third, in the long run, if the Trump administration is serious about reducing the number of American soldiers in Europe, I hope that doesn't happen. I think that would be a strategic mistake for my country. But if they're serious about disengaging from Europe, that means they have to stop telling the Europeans what to do about European security. Europe has to make those decisions themselves. And finally, thinking in the long run, not in days and weeks and months, but years, if American soldiers pull out, one of the most powerful armies based in Europe right now, Europe needs more security. And who can provide that? Who has the most powerful, most experienced army in all of Europe right now? It's Ukraine. And so rather than always thinking about Ukraine needing stuff, Europeans need to think in a longer term about the security that the Ukrainian armed forces could provide for Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all their drone technology. If 100,000 Americans are leaving, they need 100,000 soldiers from somewhere. I think Ukraine is the answer.
Yeah. Just wrapping up, do you see the huge conflict coming between the US and EU? Is that a line which divides for years to come the partners?
Well, because I believe as an American that we are stronger with our allies than not.
Yeah.
And history has proven that. Our greatest advantage during the Cold War in dealing with the Soviet Union was our alliances. Our greatest advantage today in dealing with China and Russia are our allies. That's my personal view. So I think it would be a strategic mistake to break up that relationship. And I'll do everything I can to slow it down so that in the future we might be able to rehabilitate this relationship. But right now, this is the biggest crisis in transatlantic relations of my lifetime. There's just no doubt about it.
Okay, it's just for 4 years. Let's see.
4 years.
Thank you.
All right, all right.
Thank you, Michael.
Good to see you.
Good to see
All right,
you.
I gotta
Good
go.
luck.